Welcome to Hope in a Dose, the podcast where we explore the science and strategy behind cell and gene therapy clinical trials. I'm Louise Kearney, Head of Cell and Gene Therapy Strategy and Delivery at Fortrea, and today we're diving into the topic that's critical to the success of CGT programs: seamless collaboration between CDMOs and CROs. In cell and gene therapy, complexity isn't just in the science, it's in the execution, and that's where integrative thinking comes in. When manufacturing and clinical operations work as one, we can accelerate timelines, reduce risk, and optimize costs. In this episode, we'll explore how early alignment between CDMOs and CROs can transform technologies into opportunities, from protocol design to study chain logistics and overall project success. Joining me today are Jan Skomel, Head of Delivery for Oncology here at Fortrea, and Ludek Sojka, CEO from SCT Bio. Hi guys, thanks for joining.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me.
Hi, Louise. Hi, Ludek.
Ludek, can you talk a little bit more about the importance and comparability and also tech transfer planning?
Sure. So this is, of course, absolutely crucial to be successful in tech transfer. Otherwise, any manufacturing for clinical trial would not be able to start. So it's absolutely crucial part of anything in our job. Actually, as we are a CDMO that is based in Prague, where we operate a manufacturing facility, we are quite experienced with tech transfers. We have so far successful, I think currently 13, 14 tech transfers and INDs in the past. So the team is quite experienced. So I would say that there are some prerequisites that I see quite important to succeed at the end with tech transfers. So first of all, definitely the experienced and knowledgeable team is the must. So this means, I would say, mostly about production and manufacturing stuff, analytical, QC, PD, and finally also project management activities. When speaking about production and manufacturing, our team has manufactured successfully already more than 3,000 GMP batches. So the team is quite experienced, but really a reliable team who is able to understand the research and basically the science behind each production step is absolutely important. Next, analytical, QC and PD, of course, PD team is a must in a successful technology transfers. Those employees should be ideally with PhD, so experienced researchers who are able to understand again all the details of the production and analytical, and who are able to identify gaps. This is very important for an early stages projects when the client is not yet experienced with first-in-human clinical trials, and they are setting something for a later GMP environment where we basically assessed and where we identify gaps and where we put everything in a GMP shape. And this is exactly happening under the leadership of the PD team, and production and analytical teams are included as well. And the last but not least, absolutely important is project management. We are introducing always a dedicated and experienced project manager in the initial phase of any project. The project manager participates on the preparation of the offer, and that is then presented to a client, and it's really project manager is with the client from the very beginning until the end, and until the termination of the project when everything is done. So those are, to me, three key prerequisites to succeed with technology transfer of any product, irrespective if it's cell and gene therapy or viral vector project.
Thanks. I think we find that project management here also makes a huge difference to the success, and a project leader that really holds something and owns it is something that will move something forward that may otherwise stand still. So thank you. I think we see that as well. Jan, how do you see the role in the CRO in coordinating across these partners?
Thank you, Louise. I believe the early CDMO coordination from the CRO perspective is absolutely critical, especially when it comes to clinical protocol design, clinical operation solutions, IP handling process, and the supply chain, of course. Manufacturing facility location, capacity with slots available weekly, monthly, expected patient recruitment pace, cohort enrollment design, but also overall study strategy with potential expansion in terms of patient numbers or new geographies. All of this helps to design a robust clinical trial strategy and must be coordinated with our CDMO partner. Fortrea team learned from our many autologous and allogeneic cell therapy studies that in cell therapy, the supply chain that both CDMO and CRO contributes to is the backbone of the cell therapy clinical trial. Every step from manufacturing slot assignment, patient apheresis, to final product release and product administration has to be precisely timed and coordinated by those partners. Take autologous therapies, for example. This rely on just-in-time manufacturing. So the CDMO plays critical role. You can't afford to have products sitting idle while waiting for patient slot or release, the testing. And by involving CDMO early, strategy for all steps can be fine-tuned. Manufacturing slots can be synchronized with patient scheduling, ensuring every dose reaches the right patient at the right times. And for allogenic products, early engagement help us, to plan scalability with CDMOs. Things like batch size, cryo-storage capacity, and distribution logistics play a really important role in the entire solution. And just as importantly, early coordination allows both, the CDMO and CRO to anticipate and prevent disruptions, like capacity shortages. We are seeing this on many of our programs, raw material availability, manufacturing interruptions, planned or unplanned, and of course, the site level handling challenges. This kind of proactive planning isn't just about efficiency. In early phase trials, especially where each patient is precious, it can literally mean the difference between staying on schedule with the trial or losing, the momentum. So early CDMO engagement, like, the engagement with SCT Bio between Fortrea and SCT Bio, doesn't just improve logistics. It strengthens the entire clinical strategy and planning. It's a perfect example of this integrated thinking in clinical trial execution in action, connecting science, manufacturing, operations into one seamless process for cell therapy trial.
Thank you. I suppose my question is, we're talking about early engagement of the CRO and CDMO. When do we consider early? So when would you, both of you, when do you think you should be pulling your CRO or your CDMO partner?
For me, from my perspective, definitely early means in preclinical phase, definitely. And when you are conducting preclinical studies and you are, of course, aiming to collect enough of data to be able to start your IND approval and plan your clinical development. So when at that phase you are introduced to a CRO like Fortrea and SCT Bio like a CDMO, it's definitely beneficial for everyone. You are saving a lot of time. It means that you are working with the professionals already at that stage and that you are able to identify gaps, you are able to prevent any future mistakes in clinical development, in CMC activities. Basically, it can also streamline your IND approval, because both companies are experienced in the regulatory area. So from a CMC perspective, SCT Bio can definitely provide sufficient support for IND approval. So these things all make sense to be done already in preclinical. This is basically it.
Yeah, and we are fully aligned, with Luděk, because when it comes, to regulatory submission, the IND submission, we have to work together on those, the plans since the end of this preclinical stage. This collaboration between CDMO and CRO, like SCT Bio and Fortrea, can make or break, a clinical trial timeline. What we see too often that these two worlds operate in parallel silos. The sponsors, small biotechs or large pharma companies, They are trying to manage the process without CRO involvement. Manufacturing generates one data set for the initial regulatory submission with all those preclinical learnings, clinical operations and regulatory generate another. And when it's time to bring it all together for submission, we spend weeks checking the data, validating and aligning submission package and responding, to regulators' questions that could be avoided. So when CDMOs and CROs work in this integrated, fashion from day one, CMC manufacturing data, release testing, clinical documentation are aligned. So Fortrea ensures that we are jointly created one unified version of truth that is then the submit. And perhaps most importantly, the integrated teams can work in parallel, preparing submission-ready data while manufacturing and clinical operations continue to advance with the clinical trial planning. So that's my view as well.
And I think that's true with regards to getting this data as well. But there's so many other aspects in these complex programs that we see as a CRO that working from that point in other like endpoints and speaking to sites and all that kind of stuff, we can start much earlier and it comes up with much more robust design as well. So I couldn't agree with you more. What do you see the role of the CRO is in coordinating across partners?
That's a really good question, Luis. The CRO and Fortrea role is not just the role of trial manager, but as a central coordinator across all partners in the cell therapy ecosystem. In the complex cell therapy development environment, the CRO is the hub that keeps every spoke, the sponsor, the CDMO, the logistics providers, regulators, including ethics committees and sites, moving in sync. The team at Fortrea synchronize clinical timelines with manufacturing capacity and information we are getting from CDBio. We work closely with the clinical site and ensure the patient enrollment, apheresis, and product release are aligned down to the day. We facilitate real-time data flow, connecting quality metrics with clinical outcomes so that everyone has full visibility into the performance. From sponsors and for sponsors, this means fewer risks, less downtime, and more efficient path to preclinical to late-stage development. When as CDMO, for us, as CDBio and CRO, Fortrea operate as a unified team. Sponsors gain a truly full service, end-to-end, the value chain, one that integrates, the strategy, manufacturing, and clinical execution.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Well, thank you both for joining us today. I think that's kind of wraps us up for this episode of Hope in the Dose. I hope we've seen that treating CDMOs and CROs as unified partners and not separate vendors can unlock real value in cell and gene therapy trials. From early planning to day-to-day execution, integrated thinking isn't just a nice to have, it's a must-have. And we continue to push the boundaries of what CGT can achieve. We will be the key to scaling efficiently and delivering hope to patients faster. So thank you both for sharing your perspectives, and thank you those of you for listening. Keep an eye out for further episodes of Hope in the Dose, where we'll be diving into some other aspects of CGT trial execution.